Hi guys, my name is Phil Aconti and this is my COMS2100 group project post video reflection. So, project's done. I just turned it in last night. I feel very relieved that it's over. I feel very satisfied with how it turned out. So where do I begin? So I was assigned as part of the 4-person group, and right off the bat, our group had no group culture and we had no group history. In fact, the only things that we did have in common, Dr. Lanigan paired us together because we lived remotely close to each other. And other than that, besides all being Governor State students, no group history at all. So I was not the formal leader of the group. I was not assigned to be the group leader or the group manager. But, I'm a very social people person. So I sent an introductory email to everybody right off the bat. I said, hello, my name's Phil. I have something going on this week with another class, with Dr. Lanigan's other class, actually. But after that, I'd love to meet up, and here's my phone number, guys. Text me, and we'll get together and work on this. A few days went by, and I ended up hearing from the group leader, and I also ended up hearing from another one of our partners. Unfortunately, the 4th member of our group never heard from. I don't think any of us did, and I don't know if she wasn't able to check her email, or I'm not sure what happened. But I heard from the other 2 people, and they both said, hey, sounds good. I'll read through the interviewing chapter and I'll write some thoughts down. I'll get back to you. I email back. I provide my phone number. Really trying hard to communicate, and I said, shoot me a text whenever. I gave my availability schedule, and let's meet up and get this thing done. Right away I seen how much points was in this project, and so I marked it mentally as very important, very vital to get done. So the common purpose of our group, the common purpose that we had would have been to get a really good grade on this project, to execute the project with ease and work harmoniously as a group, divide the labor equally, and have a very all-around result end product that brought satisfaction to each and every group member. So like I said, I had no leadership. The formal leader initially was Josh. So I'll make a long story short. A lot of time went by, and I didn't hear anything from the group. I sent a bunch of emails. I provided documentation, and I just did not get the response that I was hoping for. And one of the members was supposed to meet me one day. That morning comes, something comes up, they can't meet. And we're scheduled to meet another day. Something comes up, they can't meet. So the project's getting dangerously close to being due. And, I am a very task-oriented person. It's one of my things. It's one of my things with being successful in college. Like I mentioned in my other video, this is my 2nd time around in college, and one of the major things for me to succeeding is being very task-oriented. So, being task-oriented independently, I also become task-oriented in part of the group. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I could, assign them something to do online, blah, blah, blah. But I start thinking about it, and I realize, that the ultimate goal, of this project probably wasn't so much for the workbook, but it was probably to get together as a small group and really see how we function as a group. To see, what type of group culture is established, how the leadership, if there's a pendulum change, if the formal power of the group leader somehow becomes, the power shifts to informal, and perhaps I take over or Sarah takes over. To see if there was any socio-emotional leaders, right? To see if everybody was happy and all that stuff. To see how our group decision-making would be. The main purpose of this project, in my opinion, was not just making a workbook, but it was getting together as a group and, meeting 3 other people who I've never met before and succeeding and optimally performing and working together to create a really good workbook. But like I had mentioned, unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I actually had to um, emancipate myself from the group. I let Dr. Lanigan know, and I sent my group one last email, and I said, if you can't meet me at this time, I'm going to have to work on the project alone. And they couldn't meet, so I was on my own. Fortunately, Sarah was able to meet me. So though I may not have had a quote-unquote a small group experience, at least I had the experience of a pair. And Sarah and I think I took the formal power. I had a really good idea of what I wanted to do for the workbook, and Sarah was very, what's the word I'm looking for here? Sarah was very content, with anything that I would suggest, or perhaps the layout I wanted to put the book in, and she was very willing to help, and it was really important to me. I was so grateful that she was able to make it and work with me, because we worked together perfectly, in perfect cohesiveness, and right away we developed a little bit of a group culture between her and I. We're from the same town. She works at a place that I used to work at. We started developing like a lot of common similarities and stuff. So I met up with Sarah, and we worked on the project Friday afternoon. I divided the labor as equally as I thought, and I told her, I said, hey, listen, I don't mind doing this, but I don't want you to have to work too hard on that, because it says it's a big part. So if you want to just put your thoughts down, the biggest thing I tried to do with me and Sarah was just make sure that Sarah knows that there's nothing that she could do wrong, because that's how I feel. I feel like if it's organic and if it follows, the material. So if for example, when we were creating our background section, I said, read the part in the book that explains the background. Read the bulletin that Dr. Lanigan posted. I'll do the same. And then let's see what we could come up with, and we're going to combine it. And, Sarah was totally cool with that. Sarah and I sat side by side at the Triton College Library, and we worked on that project for hours, and we had zero disagreements. We had zero negative thoughts on anything, and I'm telling you, when I say that it worked out like a charm, it worked out like a charm. So I was very grateful for Sarah to meet up with me. Leadership-wise, I would have to say that I probably took leadership. I think I'm a little bit older than Sarah, so maybe that's a natural thing. But I think I took over in terms of leadership. Our group decision-making, I really think that it was 50-50. Everything that Sarah asked, I would either agree with, or if I didn't agree with it, like I said, I would try to think of a way around it, some way that we could make it better, or something, that more sensible, and she would do the same thing for me, and it worked really well together. There was no disruptive communication between the two of us. Everything worked out great. I'm very happy that I was able to meet up with her. We got our project done in time. I didn't have to worry about it, as I work full-time on the weekends, and now the project's over. The ultimate goal of our group, it was to succeed and do well. And unfortunately, though my group, it may not have worked out, like initially planned, I still was able to meet with somebody, and we worked very harmoniously together, and everything turned out okay at the end. I think, and I hope, assuming Dr. Lanigan likes our workbook. But it's important. It's really important to work as a team. And here's the thing: if you can't function in a small group with your classmates, you have to start thinking. In the real world, when you graduate college with your communications degree, and you get your career, you're going to be faced and dealt with small group communication. So it's just food for thought. And thank you very much. And I hope you like the project.